The morning Nadia O.C. Mensah got her orders. She was sitting on the edge of her bunk tying her left boot. The lace broke. She looked at it for a moment. Then she opened her locker, got a new lace, and kept going. That was how she did most things. She had been in the army for 8 years. She had trained harder than most people she knew. She had passed every test they gave her, finished every course, never missed a formation, never turned in a report late. And then, 15 months ago, both her knees gave out during a training exercise in the Georgia heat. She hit the ground, and when she got back up, something in both joints was not right. Surgery. Then a long, slow recovery. Then the folder. It was a manila folder, thin, with a paper clip holding it together. Inside was a single sheet with 3 red stamps on it. Each one said the same thing: non-deployable. The Army's way of telling her that her body had made a decision her mind had not agreed to. She sat across from a captain who was not unkind, but who was also not curious about her. He explained that her knees put her at risk in the field. He said it was policy. He said her file would remain under review. He slid the folder to the side of the desk like it was a bill he would deal with later. She walked out, down the hall, out the door, into the parking lot where the North Carolina air sat heavy and wet on her shoulders. She did not cry. She did not kick anything. She stood there for a while, watching the cars. Then she went back inside and requested reassignment to the military working dog program. Not because she had always wanted to work with dogs. She had not grown up with dogs. She had grown up with a mother who worked 2 jobs and a small apartment where animals were not practical. She requested the reassignment because the dog program deployed. Because a handler with a trained dog went places a desk clerk did not. Because her knees could walk. They could not sprint anymore. Not the way they used to. But they could walk, and walking was enough. Her request was approved 6 weeks later. By that time, she had already done her research. The dog's name was Iron Echo. He was 4 years old, a Belgian Malinois, 70 pounds of muscle and focus, and a long list of failed partnerships. His first handler had requested a different pairing after 2 months. His second had done the same after 6 weeks. His training file used words like unresponsive to bonding protocols and non-standard behavioral patterns. Someone had added a handwritten note at the bottom. Good nose. Difficult everything else. Nadia read the file twice. Then she went to meet him. He was in his kennel, standing near the back. Not pacing, not growling, just standing, and watching her the way you watch something you have not decided about yet. His eyes were gold brown and very still. She did not try to touch him through the gate. She did not talk to him in a high, soft voice, the way she had seen some handlers do. She just crouched down, level with him, and looked back. They stayed like that for a while. When she stood up and walked away, he moved to the front of the kennel and watched her go. She took that as something, though she could not have explained exactly what. The first 3 months were not warm. Iron Echo worked with her. He completed his tasks, responded to her commands, returned when called. He did what he was supposed to do. But there was a space between them that training manuals could not close. He slept near her cot, but not against it. He ate when she gave him food, but did not look at her while he did. He was a professional. So was she. They were professional together. She stopped trying to change this, and started just being near him instead. She ran with him in the mornings, slower than she used to, a pace her knees could handle without complaint. She sat outside the kennel in the evenings sometimes, not doing anything in particular. She did not push, she did not pull. She gave him time the same way she had learned to give her knees time, not because she liked waiting, but because she understood that some things could not be forced. One morning in January, she was running along the tree line behind the training grounds. It was cold and still dark, and her breath made small clouds in the air. Iron Echo was beside her, matching her stride. She was talking. She had not realized she was talking until she was already several sentences in, telling him about her mother's funeral 3 years ago, about the yellow dress her aunt had worn that seemed too bright for the occasion, about the drive home afterward, when she had not cried, and had not understood why, and still did not. She stopped mid-sentence. Iron Echo did not break stride. He did not look at her with his head tilted or make any sound. He just stayed beside her, running. She finished her sentence. That was the whole moment. She never talked about it again. She did not need to. 2 weeks later, he started sleeping against her cot. The deployment orders came in March. An emergency request from the Eastern Theater. IED activity had increased sharply in a specific corridor. 3 dog handlers were unavailable. 1 injured, 1 ill, 1 mid-rotation. Command needed handlers and dogs immediately. Her knees were exactly what they had been in September, when the captain stamped her folder. Her file had not changed. The stamps were still there. But Iron Echo's performance record with her was exceptional. Clean alerts, fast response, 0 failed sweeps in 42 training exercises, and there was no one else available who had his specific skill set. The captain signed her orders. He did not make eye contact when he did it. She packed her gear that night. She told Iron Echo nothing about where they were going. She believed he already knew. The unit she joined did not know her. They were professional about it. The way soldiers are professional about things they are uncertain of. They shook her hand. They showed her where her bunk was. They included her in the briefing. But she saw the way 2 of them glanced at each other when she walked in. She saw the half-second pause before the team leader spoke to her the first time. She recognized this. She had been an unknown quantity before. She knew how it worked. You did the job, and then you were not unknown anymore. There was no shortcut. The first week was route clearance work. Long, slow, methodical movement through roads that had been marked as high risk. Iron Echo worked in front of the convoy, methodical and focused, his nose sweeping the ground in the pattern she had trained with him. He did not miss a step. She did not miss a step. They were good together, in a way that had stopped feeling like a surprise to her. It was on the 9th day that everything changed. The convoy was moving through a section of road that looked exactly like the section before it, and the section before that. Hard ground, pale dust. A line of low hills to the west catching the early afternoon light. Nothing unusual, nothing marked on the intelligence map, nothing flagged. Iron Echo stopped. Not a trained alert position, not the formal sit or the nose point or any of the things they had practiced hundreds of times. He just stopped walking. His body went low. His ears went flat. He looked at a patch of road approximately 4 meters ahead, and he did not move. Nadia felt the stillness in him before she understood it. She had 3 seconds to make a decision. The convoy was behind her. 6 people in the lead vehicle. A sergeant she had eaten breakfast with that morning. A young private from Ohio who had shown her a photo of his daughter the night before. 4 others. She could hear the training. She could hear the voice of every instructor who had ever told her what a real alert looks like versus a false positive. This was not a clean alert. This was a dog doing something no manual had a name for. She called it hard stop. Her voice came out flat and clear, and did not waver. The convoy stopped. The EOD team swept the area. Iron Echo stayed beside her, not moving, while they worked. They found a pressure plate IED, buried shallow, connected by wire to a secondary device 20 meters further along the road, large enough to destroy the lead vehicle completely, large enough to make sure no one inside survived. When the sweep was finished, Iron Echo sat down. Not a trained response. Just a dog sitting down on a dusty road in the afternoon light, like something that had been holding tension finally let it go. Nadia knelt next to him. Her knees hit the ground, and a sharp line of pain moved up through both joints, and she did not make a sound. She put her hand on the side of his neck, just rested it there, and he leaned into it very slightly. She stayed like that for a moment. Then she stood up, brushed the dust off her uniform, and told the team leader they could resume. The after-action report took 4 days to process. The paperwork was thorough and slow, which was how the Army handled things it considered significant. Nadia answered every question in the debrief. She gave credit to Iron Echo in every answer. When the interviewing officer asked her what made her call the stop with no clean alert, she thought about it for a moment. He was sure, she said. I trusted that. She wrote it down the same way in her section of the report. The ceremony happened on a Thursday afternoon. It was not a large gathering. These things rarely were. A room on the base, folding chairs in rows, a small stage with a podium. Nadia's unit was there. Several officers she recognized, and several she did not. A 2-star general she had never met walked across the room toward her. She began to raise her hand to initiate the salute, because that was the protocol, because lower rank initiates. He raised his first. She felt the room change before she processed what she was seeing. The sound in it shifted. People stopped moving. A general does not salute a staff sergeant first. That was not how it worked. That had never been how it worked. He held it until she returned it. Clean, precise, one motion. He said, "Well done, Staff Sergeant." She said, "Thank you, sir." Iron Echo was at her left side, sitting, watching the general with his gold-brown eyes. The general looked at the dog for a moment. He did not try to reach out and touch him. Smart man, Nadia thought. Afterward, people came to shake her hand. She shook each one. She answered the questions she was asked. She stood in the photographs she was asked to stand in. She was polite and correct, and present for all of it. When it was over, she walked out into the evening air with Iron Echo beside her. The sun was going down behind the buildings, and the air had that brief, cool quality it gets just before dark, when the heat of the day lifts and the night has not arrived yet. She put her hand in her jacket pocket. Her spare bootlace was still in there from that morning. She had forgotten about it. She left it where it was and kept walking. Somewhere on a base in North Carolina, a manila folder with 3 stamps on it sat in a filing system. Nobody had touched it. The stamps had not changed. The language had not changed. Iron Echo's file had one new line at the bottom. A single sentence in plain type. Exceptional field performance. Handler, O.C. Mensa, N. Nobody added anything after that. Nobody needed to.